hello there, it's Emma here. Guess where we are today? We are at Louisa May Alcott's house in Concord, Massachusetts. Orchard House, home of Little Women. There it is, right there. We're gonna go in and check it out. Oh look, they're describing the garden plots in Little Women. Garden plots would have been here at Orchard House. Let's go have a look. We upgraded.
Usually go to the grocery store and you're like, okay,
I know. Well, I jokingly said the other day, I was like, if I was ever elected president, I would make it walk a law that every Republican had to be the same. You swipe it one way and one. So we just finished walking around Louisa May Alcott's house here in Concord, Massachusetts, which is Orchard House. Yes, I bought some things. There was a really cute mug. It had a picture of Louisa's desk, which was so cute. Her father built it right between the two windows. It's like this rounded bit that comes out. It had this little inkstand that almost looked like a snail, because of course she would have used like ink and pen. But it was such a charming room. I hated that you couldn't take pictures or videos, but we walked through the whole house. It was really neat to see. Lisa's window would have been, I think, that one with the flowers in it. Yeah, isn't that cute? Apparently that's how they would have decorated at Christmas time, with that Queen Anne's lace. So yeah, it was so cool to walk around. We saw Bronson's study. He knew all of the philosophers of the day. Like Thoreau and Emerson were in here all the time talking to Bronson. One thing I loved about the house was how there were drawings all over by May, who is Amy in the book, and it's so pretty. She would just draw on the walls, like, and her sketches are gorgeous. Once Louisa published Little Women, they had enough money to send May to Paris, so then she has all these like gorgeous paintings. So that was pretty fun to see. It's like, I wish I could draw on the wall in my house. That'd be fun. Yeah, so that window right there is Louisa's window. And then I think that would have been the master bedroom. And that's Bronson's study. And then that was the front parlor. So this is where you would have come if you came for a visit. So that's where Louisa and her family would have gone in when they came home. It was interesting to hear how Little Women, like the book, would not have actually taken place here because Louisa was 25 when they moved in, so they were actually moving all around when Louisa was younger, when she was the age Jo was in the books, because Bronson could never keep a job and was constantly in debt. This is his Concord School of Philosophy. Apparently, this house used to be two different houses. Wow, you can really tell from the outside. It used to be like a servant's house and a main house. But Bronson, one thing he did well was he was an architect, so he actually cobbled the two houses together. Emerson gave them this land and the houses so that they'd have a place to live, because otherwise they didn't have anywhere to live. I'm trying to remember all the fun things we saw in the house now, and like, so I can tell them to you. There was this cute book that Abigail had written, she's Marmee, had written for her daughters, and it was Receipts and Simple Remedies, Ways to Do Difficult Things That Have Been Tried and Proven. Which I just thought was so sweet. Yeah, everything in the house. There are so many things in the house that are exactly the way it would have been when Louisa lived here. I loved in Bronson's study, there was this rotating bookshelf, and there were all these little labels that Bronson himself must have put there to like keep it organized, you know, like the art section and the birds section, because Bronson, I guess, loved animals. But there's the sign, Louisa May Alcott's house. What is this thing that's like the Wayside house that we passed through?
Nathaniel Hawthorne's house.
Oh!
He was their neighbor.
Oh my God.
I guess so, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, there it is.
That's Nathaniel Hawthorne's house.
Does it have 7 gables?
I don't think it does. It looks really nice. This is totally a Bell bookshelf with the ladder. Oh my gosh. I'm having some pre-breakfast coffee. Yum. So yesterday was so much fun. I didn't get to show you guys as much as I would have liked of Orchard House, since you couldn't take photos or videos inside, which I don't really understand these days. Like, you know, with social media, like when you let people take photos, people will promote your business. I totally understand no flash or like certain rooms, but
yeah, it just doesn't make it feel very welcoming. However, I did love Orchard House, especially like once we got into the actual rooms. Louisa's room was amazing with her desk and her little like snail ink stand. Everything in the house looked like the Alcotts had just walked out, like had just gotten up and left and gone out shopping and were going to be back any minute because all of their stuff was still sitting around where it would have been. Louisa apparently had a temper, or Louie, I guess, is what her family called her, just like Josephine was Joe in the books. But Louisa would have quite a temper. Sometimes when people got home, she would just like snap at them and jump down their throats because she just didn't want to be talked to. So what she did is she had this mood pillow, and she would prop it like this. So she would prop it upright if she was like in the mood to be talked to and like, you know, feeling okay. But if she was too cross to talk to anyone, she would put it down like that. And the mood pillow was actually there, like in the parlor. It was right off the front door. So like when you came in, you would just look at the couch. Like Louisa might be upstairs in her room, but if the mood pillow was up, you knew you could go say hi. And if it was down, you knew that she wanted some space. Louisa May Alcott sounds like quite the character. Like she sounds so cool. She really believed in like physical exercise, so she would go running along the streets in Concord. But this was like nowadays people go running all the time, but this was before running was a thing. And she was running like in her Victorian gown without a corset, in her like boots. So it must have been a pretty funny sight. Although then again, Concord it seems like was quite like the hipster place of like the 1800s, because Nathaniel Hawthorne right next door, apparently Louisa May Alcott and her family actually lived in that house that Nathaniel Hawthorne later bought and lived in. And yeah, Emerson right up the road. Apparently, we didn't get to stop at the cemetery, but apparently there's a spot called Author's Ridge where like Emerson and Thoreau and Louisa May Alcott are all buried next to each other. It was so cool though to see inside and all of their things and their books. Bronson Alcott's library, which there was a photo of Bronson Alcott sitting in his library, and like the library when you entered it looked almost the same as in the photograph. Like even like the little busts on the wall and like the paintings, which were usually May's paintings. These ones weren't painted on the wall, they were framed. I liked the ones that were just randomly sketched on the wall though. In May's bedroom, she asked her father, because her father Bronson was a carpenter, so he did a lot of the work in their house, but she wanted like a opera ceiling, and apparently the thought is that she wanted to recreate like the Sistine Chapel, which unfortunately she never got to. If she had, it would have been pretty amazing. Also in May's room, they had a chest full of like the acting like costumes that they would have used when they put on their theatricals, which actually when they were the age that the girls were in the book, they would have been putting on their theatricals in a different house because they hadn't moved to Orchard House yet. They moved to Orchard House when Louisa May Alcott was about 25. So yeah, I don't even know how to say that word. The timeline is a little bit confusing, and our guide was really great, but like the timeline was a little confusing, and she didn't necessarily go in order. So I'd really like to read now a biography of Louisa May Alcott. I've read that biography, Marmee and Louisa, which was really good, but that focuses more on like Louisa's relationship with her mother, Abigail, which Abigail sounds like such a cool lady too. Apparently Abigail grew up in like a really, you know, well-off, well-to-do household. Her brother was studying to go to Harvard, and so she would just go and sit with her brother all the time and like learn everything he learned, everything his tutors taught him. Like, so she got all this learning that she wasn't really supposed to have, and she wanted to go to Harvard, which unfortunately she couldn't back in that day. But yeah, so she had all these ideas and all these things she wanted to do, and so when her parents told her, oh, here's your cousin, he's who you're gonna marry, she was like, no thank you. And when she met Bronson, crazy intellectual philosopher, abolitionist like her, Abigail was very much for women's rights, but so she ended up marrying Bronson, which unfortunately he wasn't the best husband because he didn't really provide for the family, and they moved like 24 times, I think, when Louisa May Alcott was growing up. Yeah, so I'd really love to learn more about Louisa May Alcott's life because they sound like such an incredible family. Just so, all of them so involved and smart and passionate about what they did. Yeah, it's too bad that May died young. Like they were saying, she actually met someone in Europe when she was studying to be an artist, and they moved to Paris, and she would hang out with Mary Cassatt and Degas, and I can't help but think if May had lived longer, she would be like another Mary Cassatt or Degas, because her paintings were just beautiful. So I'm just enjoying my Sunday morning in my parlor here at the Inn at Hastings, and my family's gonna come and we're gonna go into brunch. So I'll be back to show you that.